I still have a gap. I still have insecurities and fears and doubts and prayers that have not been answered and dreams that have not been realized and goals that have been left unfinished. I believe in a God that doesn't make my life perfect. I believe in a God that works with me as I fail and as I succeed. What's up, guys?
Yeah!
Have you guys heard of a time capsule wardrobe before? A time capsule wardrobe? Well, this is what a time capsule wardrobe could look like. So it's essentially timeless items that you have, right? Like clothing, trousers, whatever, shirts, everything you could imagine that are expensive but timeless, they can have forever, and then you like augment those with like seasonal pieces. You can tell, since I use the word augment, that I've actually done my research with time capsule wardrobes. Let's go to the next picture just for the women to see what a time capsule wardrobe looks like. So this is what a time capsule wardrobe looks like. And Kaylee and I decided, this is it, we want a time capsule wardrobe. And what's cool, we're minimalist, so like it's a small but very awesome items, and that's what we decided to do. So Kaylee is amazing and beautiful, my wife, and she decided, look, I'm gonna take the first step and go shopping for pieces to fill up my time capsule wardrobe. And she came back with 2 to 3 pieces, and we're excited, you know. I'm excited, she's excited, until I looked at the bill. It was $200 for 3 items. Kaylee! And then I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, this whole time capsule wardrobe thing is gonna take maybe about 25-ish years for us to build, because you best know we ain't rich. Apparently with the time capsule wardrobes, like there's like 78 items, so if you divide that by how many Kaylee has spent on each item, that would be like $1 million. So with that said, it looks like we weren't getting time capsule wardrobes anytime soon. And I don't know about you, but I remember as a kid, like, I wanted a Lego set, or like I wanted a Rubik's Cube. Like these things were cheap, but now all of a sudden like I'm all bougie as I'm getting older, like I want super expensive things. And I don't know about you, but maybe as a kid, do you guys know what this is? Oh, okay, let's go to the next one. Let's see if you know what the next one is. Yeah, it says Tamagotchi, yeah. Do you guys know what this is? Yeah. All right, let's go to the next one. Oh, that's so funny. So these items, like you want as a kid, let's be honest, these are cheap. Like these are super, a Justin Bieber doll, right? Like these were cheap items that you wanted as a kid. I mean, your parents were living the life. I mean, they're like, dude, we get to like for Christmas, just put like $20 and Wesley's happy with his Justin Bieber doll and it's great, right? But here's the thing, you get older, now you want like an iPhone 12. And you want the new AirPods, or you want a car, and all of a sudden, you're like, I'm bougie. Like, why would I get bougie all of a sudden? I want only expensive things. And I think if you're honest, and I'm honest, we kind of want a Santa. You know what I mean? Like, Christmas is coming, and you kind of dream of having your own personal Santa that will literally give you everything you want. Maybe like a genie in Aladdin. Like, we all want that. And I want that. But here's the thing, if you didn't know, this is the last installment of our series on Jeremiah, and I'm a little sad. I've actually really enjoyed this series, and today I thought it would be fitting to kind of land with the most famous verse of all time. I mean, if you're not a Christian, totally fine. If you're a Christian, great. But if you're a human and you haven't heard this verse, you've probably lived under a rock. I mean, this is on every billboard and magazine and Christian t-shirt and cheesy Christian movie you can imagine. This is Jeremiah 29:11. And if you don't know it, I know it by heart, but we'll have it on the screen. It says, "For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you and plans to give you hope." 3.5 years ago, I actually moved here from Ohio. I moved all by myself right after college, booked a one-way plane ticket by myself to go all the way to San Diego, knowing I had this job here, and I was a little excited. You know, I was thinking I was going to be an influential pastor, you know, and I thought I would have tons of friends. You know, I thought big things. And if we're going to be honest, when we look at that verse, oftentimes what we read that verse to mean is, God, you have plans to send me to Harvard. Or God, you have plans to reunite me with that ex-boyfriend that probably is not the best that I'm dating them in the first place. Or God, you have plans to make me rich or famous on TikTok. God, you have plans to make me happy. If we're going to be honest, we all want a spiritual Santa Claus. And if you didn't know, that is the title of this message today, Spiritual Santa Claus. If you want to take notes, you get extra points in heaven just saying on your notepad, iPhone, whatever it is, you can open that up. Spiritual Santa Claus is the title of this message. But to dive a little bit deeper, I realized 6 months into my time here in San Diego that my life wasn't really turning out the way that I wanted. And actually, that's when I realized that I was reading Jeremiah 29:11 all wrong. Now, to tell you why I was reading it all wrong, we need to go a little bit back, like 2,000 years back, and go back to where the Israelites, God's people, the people that God was speaking in, they were kind of held captive and stripped from their land, and they were held captive by the Babylonians at the time. Life was not good for the Israelites. I mean, they sinned and a lot of crappy stuff, and now they're like forced to be in captivity and isolation, kind of like you at your home during COVID. Right? You're forced into captivity just like the Israelites, and they were not living a good life at all. So enter the prosperity gospel. Raise your hand if you've ever heard of the prosperity gospel before. Oh, nobody. Oh, this is good. So there's a lot of pastors, even today, that are prosperity pastors who say this. You know, Wesley, you're a great guy, right? You're the cousin of Teroa. That's a big deal. Are you a Christian? Do you want a Tesla?
No.
What's your favorite car?
I like Mustangs.
Mustang? Well, God loves you, and you get a Mustang. That's how much God loves you. But only if you give me 10% of your money. And the prosperity gospel goes to something like that. Like, you get a car, only if you believe in God. Right? Only if you believe in God. God is going to prosper you. Right? All that iPhone 12, that AirPod, that Mustang, that Tesla, whatever it is that you're dreaming, God is just waiting to give it to you only if you just, give me a little bit of money and everything's going to be great. That's the prosperity gospel. And a lot of pastors believe in that. Basically, they tell people like you what you want to hear, and honestly what I want to hear, and then you feel good, and I feel good, and we leave, and everything's rainbows and sunshines, and we're walking on flowers, right? Everything's beautiful. Here's the thing. The Bible doesn't really say that, but there are people, they were called false prophets, back in the Israelites' time, where the Israelites were not living a great life, and they came up to people and said, hey, you've been in captivity for a while? Well, you just wait. Tomorrow when you wake up, you're going to be allowed to go back to your homeland. You're going to be allowed to go back and have children and live beautiful lives back where you were born as an Israelite. You get to do that tomorrow, only if you believe in God. And that prosperity gospel mentality kind of was all over the land at the time. So Jeremiah actually stood up and he said, this whole prosperity gospel thing, that's not really God. We'll actually go to that verse right now. This precedes Jeremiah 29:11. I want to read that to you right now. It says, do not let the prophets and diviners among you deceive you. Do not listen to the dreams you encourage them to have. They are prophesying lies to you in my name. And I have not sent them, declares the Lord. So all of a sudden here, you almost see Jeremiah rejecting a spiritual Santa Claus. Right? Like, let's be honest. This whole prosperity gospel thing, that's a spirit, that's like a spiritual Santa. And all of a sudden you see Jeremiah saying, no, that's not the God we believe in. Not at all. And then, this is my favorite verse, because literally every Christian gets so mad, because this is like almost the exact opposite of what Jeremiah 29:11 is. And this is the verse right before Jeremiah 29:10. Yeah, someone knows the Bible. That's good. Okay. Thanks, Ashley. All right, so this is what Jeremiah 29, he says, when 70 years are completed for Babylon, I will come to you and prevail. Go back and bring you better. Wait, did Jeremiah just say 70 years? Wait, I mean, He didn't say 70 years. He said 20, right? I mean, like 30 years is straight up, but he didn't say 70 years. All of a sudden, Jeremiah tells the people, yeah, God has plans to prosper you and to give you hope, but these plans, they're just going to come in like a little bit of a century or so. I mean, let's be honest, we want God to solve our problems at the end of the week, not the end of the century. Like, we want God to give us stuff, not the end of the century, but like literally tomorrow. To wait 70 years for God to say, oh yeah, I have plans to prosper you and to give you hope. You just have to wait more than half a century to get there. This is a different type of God. And this is where my theology changed 6 months into being a pastor here at Eastside Church. Raise your hand if you're a senior. Raise your hand if you're a junior. Or a sophomore. So you guys might remember, you guys might have been there. So I'm on staff, right? I feel like I'm a hot shot. You know, coming in, I'm going to kill the game, transform the world, 21-year-old Jake, like, let's get it. And then I have my first event, right? It's a growth group event. I first came in as a growth group pastor. And Keith Smith's my boss, and we're planning this thing out. We're excited. Actually, it happened right in this room over here 3.5 years ago or so. And 15 minutes before the event, I realized, I have no idea what I'm going to say. And then I'm like, wait, how is that organized? And people started asking me questions about the event, and they were poking holes in it. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't think through that or that. And it was a zoo. It was a complete disaster, the whole entire event. I'm surprised Keith didn't fire me on the spot. Like, dude, y'all go back to Ohio. Like, we don't want you. The next day, I literally had to come in, and it's funny because Taro is here, so she's hearing about my failures as a pastor. She's like, oh, I love my boss. And I had to come in to Keith and to the whole staff and literally apologize. Like, I'm sorry, I sucked as a pastor, this won't happen again. And that's when I realized my dream, or what I thought God had for me to be an influential pastor, yeah, that was like dashed on the rocks. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was on Thanksgiving. Now, Thanksgiving is what, Thursday? Is that usually when Thanksgiving is? That was 3 years ago on Thursday, this next Thursday 3 years ago. I was sitting in my bed wearing sweatpants, and I Skyped or Zoomed or FaceTimed my parents. And I'm the second oldest of 5 kids, and all 4 of the other siblings and my parents were together, laughing, like eating Thanksgiving food, all the things that you could imagine, mashed potatoes and turkey and cranberry sauce and stuffing, all you can imagine. I'm like licking my lips trying to figure out what they're about to eat. And 30 minutes passed and they all say bye, and the rest of the day I'm stuck in my sweatpants on my bed. And I'm like, this is what Thanksgiving is. So I guess I didn't get my friends either. So the things that I said, yeah, God has plans to make me an influential pastor. God has plans to make me have an amazing friendships and community. All of those things completely didn't happen. And I was so mad at God. I mean, like, if we're going to be honest, God did not hold up his end of the bargain at all. Right? God was going to give me. God was going to get me. Right? Like, God had plans to. And that's when I realized I believed in a spiritual Santa. I didn't believe in a God. I believed in a spiritual Santa. I realized at that moment that my relationship with God was agenda-based. If you don't give me what I want, then I'm not going to pray. Like, why would I pray if you don't give me what I want? Like, why would I read the Bible? Like, if my life isn't going well, I don't understand. You give me, presents, and I'll love you and worship you on Wednesdays or Sundays or Saturdays, whatever it is. That's the deal that we have, God. And you didn't hold up your end of the bargain. It's almost like God lied to me. And maybe for you, actually sitting here, you've kind of been addicted to this spiritual Santa Claus. Not a God. Like, maybe you're the person that's been praying for your family to maybe just have one dinner together, but your parents are fighting all the time, and it just hasn't happened yet. Or maybe you've been praying to get back with that boyfriend or the girlfriend, but they've just been ignoring you, ghosting you like they've had for months. Or maybe you've been praying that your friends would apologize to you because of how rude they've been to you and disregarding you, but they haven't apologized. Maybe you're here and your prayer of the cancer to stop spreading, it just wasn't answered. And you're stuck feeling like God didn't hold up his end of the bargain. The spiritual Santa Claus. Here's the bottom line of this whole entire message. We'll put it on the screen if you're taking notes. This is it. God doesn't will that you avoid all suffering. God wills to bring you through all suffering. And that's when, like that day, that Thanksgiving, that Thursday, I realized then, I looked at a God who promised me presents, right? E-N-T, like N-T-S, not presents, like his physical presence. I believe in a God who would give me, like, gifts. That's what I believed in. And that's when I realized, oh, this is bad. I'm a pastor, I speak to people, but I've been believing in the wrong God almost all of my life. See, here's the thing. God doesn't will to take away the darkness, right? Sometimes he can't take away the darkness because you have to go through it. But I guarantee you that the Christian God, that's the God that wants to walk with us through the darkness, through the highs and the lows. I got a tattoo loosely based off of Jeremiah 29:11. Let's see if I can show you guys. So I have this tattoo, right? People literally like once every week, usually, whether we're on Subway or here, people ask me, what the heck does this circle mean? I believe that there's people, including me, that's believed in a no-gap theology. I believe that maybe you want to be a Christian because you think your whole life there's going to be no gaps. I mean, once I become a Christian, I'm not only going to get that Tesla, but my parents are not going to be divorced anymore. Or I'm not going to have insecurities anymore. Depression, that's a thing of the past. I'm a Christian now. I believe in God. Oh, all of a sudden, we have a no-gap theology, and God never promised a no-gap theology. The reason why I have this tattoo on my arm, on my forearm, is to remind me every single time that I look at it that I still have a gap. I still have insecurities and fears and doubts and prayers that have not been answered and dreams that have not been realized and goals that have been left unfinished. I believe in a God that doesn't make my life perfect. I believe in a God that works with me as I fail and as I succeed. I believe in a gap theology where sometimes things still happen, and it might take 70 years for them to get better. But the point is that they don't get better, or they do get better. The point is that we have a God that's walking with us every step of the way, saying, no matter if it's good, if it's bad, if it's ugly, or if it's beautiful, I'm here no matter what. I'm going to invite the worship team to come back up. And I'm also wondering if some of you guys have believed in a spiritual Santa Claus or believed in this no-gap theology before. I'm also wondering if you're here and you're just so tired of being mad at God because you feel like he's not held up his end of the bargain. We're about to sing a song called Highs and Lows. And during the song, I don't really want you guys to stand up. If you want to sing it, you can sing it. I'm hoping this song will be more of a reflective time with your relationship with God. Or you can just be honest with God and be like, shoot, I've literally looked at you as Santa Claus. I haven't looked at you as a friend who walks with me through it. And I've been mad too long. I've been mad at the fact that I thought COVID was only going to last 6 months, but now we're in purple again. That means it could last my whole entire school year. God, when is this going to end? And maybe that's the anger that you just might have to let go of today. I hope that at the end of this time, this reflection, after that we're going to actually sing another song. There's another in the fire. And during this time of reflection, I hope this could be an honest conversation between you and God, not talking to a friend. It's not that time. We can do that later. But right now, what does it look like if you actually believed in a true God, not a spiritual Santa Claus? Let me pray. God, I've gone through a lot of suffering. And God, if I'm standing up here, I just have to be honest in front of you. God, I've been so mad at you before. God, sometimes I feel like my relationship with you is love and then it's hate. God, sometimes I feel like my relationship with you is like an emotional roller coaster. God, and sometimes I feel like you've let me down. And God, I do want to just say I'm sorry. I haven't really been praying to you half the time. I've been praying to Santa Claus, and I want to give that up right now. God, with these dreams and insecurities, with these fears and with these doubts that I have, God, whether it takes a year, 7 years, 17 years, or 70 years, let me still have faith, not that you'll take away the suffering, but that you'll walk with me through it, through the highs and through the lows.